This is Aaron Despain with St. Petersburg College, and I'd like to introduce you to the Excel project questions that you will encounter within the homework assignments in the Pearson Lab. So this particular video relates to the Finance 3400 as well as the Finance 3403 course at St. Petersburg College. But of course, many of these takeaways are applicable to any of the other classes you may have that utilize the Excel projects, or also referred to as the spreadsheet exercises within Pearson. So let's take a look at an example. Go to within the assignments menu, the do homework, and you can see I've got available one particular assignment here, the Chapter 5 homework part 2. And within this assignment, there are actually 3 different Excel projects assigned. And so let's take a look at problem 5-51. So this is the window that pops up when I click on this project. And you'll see there's 3 different steps, if you will, or kind of a flow or sequence to how we will complete these. The first step, though, is to simply download the material. And when I click on download material, I've got a couple different options here. I've got instructions via a Word document here first. And this is good to have if you want just a separate, especially if you're utilizing multiple screens, you can have a separate soft copy on your computer to reference, or you can print it out, maybe keep it on your desk, again, just as another reference for the instructions. But all those instructions are also included within the Excel file that you'll complete and submit for grading. So the second option here is just that you can see the suffix here. This is the Excel file that we'll actually complete. So my recommendation for students is just simply download the Excel file. That's really all that you'll need. All right, and this is the file for this particular project that we'll work on for our example. So we've got, again, down here at the bottom, the instructions listed here that were also included in the Word document if you had downloaded that instead, or in addition to this. We've got some background information up here at the top. This particular project has to do with annual loan payments that we'll calculate. And then you see that there's also a kind of a summary data table up here at the top. So this is just a summary of the information that's within each of the different questions that we have in the assignment. But you notice how it says here in red that we do not want to utilize the data table here for cell references into our formulas. So when we get to cell references in creating our formulas, we will reference the same data that's adjacent to or close to those blue solution cells that will actually complete or operate within. So just give an example here. So again, we are just creating payments using, based on the instructions, the payment function, and utilizing cell references. So this will be very common for the Excel projects where we will need to create a formula to get our answer. I cannot just simply utilize a financial calculator or some other method and directly input an answer figure here. So if the answer is somewhere around $4,600, even if it is correct, that's typically not going to lead to points earned on this question, because again, I did not use a formula, and more specifically did not use a function with cell references. So don't just simply input an answer that you retrieved from somewhere else. We do need to show our work by creating an actual formula. In this case, we need to utilize the payment function. So there's my payment function box, different variables I need to include to get the answer. My rate in this case is 8%, but again, I need to use cell references. So instead of just typing in 0.08 or 8%, I need to click on that cell that has the variable in it. So in this case, it's E15. Number of periods in this case is 3 years, but instead of just typing in a number 3, I need to include a cell reference. And present value is my loan amount, so I would just click on E16, which has the $12,000 figure. And you can see the answer populates here within the argument box. And then when I click OK, of course, it's going to populate the blue cell. So when these are graded, or if you aren't sure why you may have missed points and I were to go and pull up your file, first thing I'll look at is I'll click on your solution cell, look up here in the formula bar and see, did you use a function and did you use cell references? So you can see here we did. So I went ahead and completed the rest of the solution boxes, and if I like what I have here, I can go ahead and save it and submit it. So you can save it to your computer within the documents, within the desktop, or even within the downloads, wherever, of course, you will be able to retrieve it most efficiently. And now that I have it saved, I can go ahead and minimize it or even close that out if I'd like. And I'm back to the question or project box that had popped up when I clicked on the question. And recall we had three different steps in kind of the flow here. The second one here isn't really anything that you need to do with this one. It does have some preview steps, which again are just the different instructions that are provided for you in both the Word document and the Excel file. So not really anything that we need to do here for step two. The main thing is once we have a file to submit for grading, we need to upload it here. So we'll click on Upload File, find it within our downloads or our documents wherever we saved it to, and then we can submit it for grading. And now that I've uploaded, I've selected the file within my downloads, and now I can upload it and submit it through the system for grading. So it's very important to note that this is an auto-graded system, and nothing is done or sent directly to your instructor. The Pearson Lab will auto-grade these within a few seconds, and you can go review your results right away, so that if you do have any point deductions or mistakes, you can go back to your original file, update it, and then resubmit it for a better grade through, again, the auto-grade system. So how exactly do I find my results? Well, we go down to the results menu here within our left side of our screen, and I can click on to the assignment. Now you by this point we probably have several assignments that you've completed, so you'll have a list of different assignments here, some previous ones that would have had Excel projects as well. But here's where I can get into review any past or current assignment that's been worked on. And you can see here, just looking at the result, I've got a check mark and an X. That means I've gotten some partial credit. So, and you can see here I've earned 1.5 out of 2 total points for this particular project. So again, I can review my results, update my file, and try to gain back those half a point that was deducted. If you got 100% credit, of course you would see 2 out of 2 here, but you'd also see just a green check mark with no red X. And if you got 0 credit, so 0 out of 2 points, you would just see a red X with no check mark at all. So let's click on the project here and see what we've got. So again, important to note that I can't update or redo any questions through the results module or menu. This is where I can just simply review the work that I've completed. And with the box that pops up, I've got a few different things I want to point out here. So one is submissions. So you can see here I've got 2 different submissions for this particular project. So I can toggle back and forth between the submissions to check out my score. Certainly the best submission that you submit should count, but there may be a setting to where it is the most recent submission that might be might override the score. So if you do get for example, 100%, there would be no need to resubmit the project anyway. But if you do resubmit it, the system may count the most recent attempt, just depending on the settings for your particular class. So let's go back though to the submission attempt that we walked through here together. You can see in this overview screen here, I've got this red down arrow. This is, you can see obviously where the point deductions were. So just based off of earned and possible in these columns here, if I click on that red down arrow, it's going to give me some feedback. So it's telling me that in cell E29, my formula was not set to this. So it's basically telling you what the formula should have looked like to help you make any adjustments and resubmit. Now, if I have a ton of different issues or a lot of point deductions, really the best resource to utilize is your live comments report. So here you can see you've got the file that you actually submitted. You can access it here, but go to the live comments report to see more details. And I'm going to click on that so we can walk through that for just a minute. So this is the live comments report that comes up for my submission. And this, you see there's multiple tabs down here at the bottom. So this overview page, not all that helpful. I would just have you click on the actual tab that has the questions and the feedback. So you can see here that for the solution cells, this particular one has nothing on it. Everything looks great. And you saw from the previous page that we had 100% on this particular question. It was really the third one that we had some issues with here. And you can see that there's a red triangle up in the right hand corner to to show us where the error was or where the point deduction was. And you can see that it gives us the same feedback when I'm hovering over it, that the formula was not set to a particular solution that it was looking for. So just trying to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So we can see here it's giving us some guidance as far as what the formula should have looked like. And you see that what I have up here is a couple cell references, E26 and E27, which I believe is backwards. And then we have just 75 here, no cell reference, just 75 instead of even 75,000. So you can see kind of where the errors were based on what it should have looked like here. Okay. And if I go back to, again, that top box here, this one was good. You can see I used a function with cell references. Notice lone B here, I did not use cell references for this one, and it did not take points away. So, you know, there may be some Excel projects where there's some more grace, where as long as you got the correct answer, it may not ding you for not using cell references. But I would encourage you to be in the habit of using them, because I definitely know that there are others where you'll lose points if you don't use cell references in your formula. So again, if I pull up my argument box here, instead of using a cell reference to E21 here, I just typed in 0.12 as my rate. Number of periods 10 instead of selecting E20, and so forth. Same with the present value. So it did not take points off in this particular case. But again, it's best to be in the habit of utilizing cell references. Number one, it's faster and more accurate when you're working within the argument box. And number two, just ensures that you get full credit, because once again, it was part of the instructions down here that we need to use cell references. Okay. And this one here, we can see the last one was entered perfectly utilizing cell references as well. All right, that is it for the introduction to Excel projects. Remember to go back into the assignment if you missed any points, update your original file based on the feedback you received, and you can resubmit for a better grade. Hope this helps. As always, make sure to reach out to your professor or instructor with any questions that you might have. Thanks so much.